Hi, this is James Cook, Assistant Professor of Social Science at the University of Maine at Augusta, and I'm shooting this video for my undergraduate social networks course. Members of that course can look on their Blackboard page and see some homework here. It's work for week 10, in which I'm asking you to look into politics and think about networks in another way. Look at the actual communications that people make. Up to this point, I've asked you to work with some two-mode data on memberships or attributes and impute. That means to assign through assumption ideas about connection, the idea that if people bump into each other more or more similar, they might be more likely to connect. Is that so? It might be true, it might not be true. You could test that. How could you test that? You could test that through joint action, co-sponsorship, which is something that James Fowler is studying in an article that you're reading this week. You also could take a look at when people refer to other people. Do they talk about other members of Congress when they're on the floor of the House of Representatives? So what I want you to do this week, and what I'm going to walk you through just a little bit of the process of, is to pick some of your committee members, 5 to 10 committee members, because I don't want it to be too many. I want you then to go look at the congressional record. I want you to pick 1 month of the congressional record for each of those 5 to 10 committee members, and I want you to see who they refer to among all the other members of Congress. So that's set out in steps 1 through 4. There's an example of a search here that you can see. And then I want you to actually go look at the text of the congressional record. I want you to enter references by one member to another member into NodeXL. I want to visualize that. I want you to visualize that according to gender of the representatives and also their party. And I want you to then to do some interpretation. So what does that look like in practice? It means that first you're going to need to go back to house.gov and you're going to need to look at committees. So if I'm interested in perhaps the ethics committee, I can look here. About is usually where the members are listed. You might have to look, but you can find committee members. You should be pretty practiced at this already. It's an important skill if you want to be an educated, civically involved citizen. And here you have some names. So, gosh, I'm going to start with one. Charles W. Dent or Patrick Meehan, Trey Gowdy. Should I do Trey Gowdy? Trey Gowdy. It's a great name. It's a memorable name. Trey Gowdy of South Carolina. Let's start there. Well, what am I going to do next? I'm going to visit the search engine, step number 2, of remarks in the U.S. Congress online. Remarks in the U.S. Congress are called the Congressional Record. And here they are. Now, if you look at this, it's a big website, but with a lot of search terms. But if you look at them carefully, if I'm searching the congressional record for the current Congress, which I'd like you to do, there are only a few options for you to really check. We want to select a particular member of Congress. I would like this to be somebody in the G's, named Gowdy. I'm going to start typing in. I'm going to select and then start typing Gowdy. There's Gomert, Goodlot. Now I'm using arrow keys, Gosar, Gowdy. There we are. I want, he's a member of the House. So I just want him to be referenced here in the House or extensions of remarks, which is statements that members of the House can make. And I want to select 1 month. I'm going to select the month of 02, that's February 01, 2014 to 02/28, the last day of the month, 2014. Do I want to sort the results by date? Yes, no, it doesn't matter. I'm going to look at all of them. Oh, now I find out that Trey Gowdy does not have any records with that found. So I'm going to head back. Okay. And I'm I'm going to go over to Note XL, and I'm going to note in vertices Trey Gowdy. Okay, Trey Gowdy. And when I do that, I'm going to note he's an isolate. And right over here where it says add other columns, I'm going to add a column here. How do I do that? I'm going to look at the instructions. I'm going to hover over that, and it says if you want to Note XL to use any columns you add, you must add them to this table. How would I do that? You can add a column to the right end of the table by simply typing a column name into the first empty cell in row 2. So I could go right over here, the first empty cell, row 2. I could make that be party, and the next be gender. And I'm going to make this person known as a Republican, which he is, and a male. So there he is. And am I going to go over to the edges frame and enter any kind of edges for him? No, not yet. He certainly didn't mention anybody. Now, what if I head back and I look at Charles W. Dent? Charles W. Dent. And I want to search for the 1st of February through the 28th of February in the House. And let's see what he might have said. No records found. Okay, so this is getting to be a little bit curious, right, as I'm going through this example. Charles W. Dent. Now, is Charles W. Dent a Republican, a male? Yes. So I'll enter that, Republican and male. Well, now, who else could I have? K. Michael Conaway, chairman. Let's look that up. K. Michael Conaway. Is it Conaway or Conway? I want to be sure. Conaway. K. Michael Conaway. House. Okay, let's search. No records found. This is starting to look odd. So, K. Michael Conaway. 3 members of the House who don't have any kind of references in the Congressional record for an entire month. I'm going to head back to house.gov, and I'm going to find out, perhaps, if I look here on the schedule, and click back through it, or is there meetings? There sure seem to be House committee meetings, but there aren't that many of them. So I'll notice I went from the 10th to the 11th to the 12th to the 19th to the 20th to the 25th to the 26th. That might explain it. Now I'm going to head back, and I'm going to search for another member. I'm going to go back to the committees. Let's look at some Democrats on the Ethics Committee. Committee members. How about Yvette Clark? Let's see what Yvette Clark might be interested in, what she might have been talking about. Okay, and let's search for Yvette Clark, member of Congress. Let's search by date. Okay, so it looks like we just had 3 individuals who were not very forthcoming. If you find a lot of isolates, you might want to extend your membership forward so that you get some kind of network information, maybe from 5 up to 10. But here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 statements. Now what can I do? I can click on them. There's links here. So I'm going to click on the first one for February 25th. And I don't want to get feedback. And I want to find Clark. So what am I going to do to find Clark? I know her last name is spelled C-L-A-R-K-E. So I am going to search for her name. And I'm doing that by hitting Control F. Control F brings up the search frame. And I hit that, and I hit return again. And I see here we just have a reference. She's not speaking, she's just changing her vote from nay to yay. So I don't really have any ties here. What about number 2? Consideration of H.R. 3193, Consumer Financial Freedom and Washington Accountability Act. Let's look there. Okay, I'm going to look at printer-friendly display. And I'm going to look for Clark again. Changing their vote. So this is also not a reference. Okay. I'm going to head down here. So sometimes we'll end up with dead ends. To the third link. Okay. So here we have something interesting. A speech by Yvette Clarke. She rises today in opposition to H.R. 7, a Republican bill intended only to exacerbate divisions between Americans and to undermine the rights of American women to access health care. Okay, I'm looking through. I'm looking for references to other individuals. I don't see them in the first 5 paragraphs or in the first 6 paragraphs. I see she uses the phrase jobs, jobs, jobs. And then she makes a general reference to colleagues, but to no particular member. So far we have no ties. Let's move on to the next person. The next link, and again, no ties. Finally, Medical Preparedness Allowable Use Act, Clark. And she changed her vote from nay to yay. So here we have Yvette Clarke. She is a Democrat and she is female. So I have 4 individuals so far, and all of them are isolates for this month. But I'm going to continue. And I'm going to let's look at Ted Deutsch of Florida. National Eating Disorders Awareness Week. No reference to others. Sportsman Heritage Week. Okay, at this point, we have a tie. So I'm going to put in Ted Deutsch, who is a Democrat and is a male, and I find that Ted Deutsch is referring to somebody by the name of McGovern, Mr. McGovern, and also Madam Speaker. Now, who's working as the Speaker? I'm going to look up at the top because it's a Speaker. Okay. Who's the Speaker of the House? The Speaker of the House is Nancy Pelosi. Ted Deutsch makes a reference to Nancy Pelosi. Ted Deutsch makes a reference to thanking his friend for yielding Mr. McGovern. So I'm going to go to house.gov, and I'm going to look for representatives under the tab Representatives. And I have someone by the name of M for McGovern. You'll perhaps know that's by state. I actually want to use alphabetical here. M. Oh, that's for states. Let's go by last name. Here's a tab by last name. click there. M. McGovern. McGovern is James and is a Democrat. Great. Also known as Jim. He's James McGovern. You could use Jim. And once I then refresh the graph here, I will have 3 individuals. Why aren't there more individuals that are named? Because by definition, the visibility by default shows if in an edge. So I'm going to want to change that to show my isolates. I want to show all of them, which is, if I look at this, hovering over here, the code is number 4. I'm going to show everybody. Okay. And I want to give everybody a label. Okay, hang on. I mispasted. Always important to paste accurately. I'll try one more time. Selecting the right number of cells and pasting the labels over. And now I need to add some more information. Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House, female. James McGovern is a Democrat who is male. Now when I refresh the graph, what do I have? I have labels for everyone. I have ties between a small set. What else do I need to do? I need to visualize by gender and by party. How could I do that? I could do that individually by heading over here and doing it manually, changing shape, changing size, changing color, or using the instructions that you've read about in the Hansen textbook. I could use the autofill columns property. And I could change vertex color according to party and check out the options and say, oh, the sources columns are not numbers. I put in letters. They're categories. So it says now each category will be mapped to a unique color. What if I wanted to make gender a different shape? No, now that won't work because that's looking for numbers. Okay, well, how could I make it work? If that is asking for numbers for shape, well, I could make the males 1s and the females 0s. That's just an arbitrary choice, right? I could do it the other way. And now I can head over back to gender, and in options, I could say if the source column number is greater than 0, make it a solid square, otherwise set the vertex shape to a disk. And now let's autofill. Okay, now they're a little small for everyone to see, so let's make those sizes bigger. Let's give them a size of 20 just to play with. We could make it bigger if we don't like this. But there we are. Now we have circles. The circles have been automatically assigned for females. Males have gotten squares. We have light blue for Democrats. We have dark blue for Republicans. We have some information that we can begin to share. Oh, but I forgot. I need to go read through the rest of Ted Deutsch's speech. So, president, not a member of Congress. Okay, let's pass Homeowner Insurance Flood Affordability Act. Okay, and did Deutsch speak any more that day? Deutsch, this is the... Okay, that's the only speech he made during the day. Are we done with Deutsch? Yes. Okay. So now I'm done with Deutsch. If I want to get some more information, perhaps I might want to go look for some more individuals. Do it until you feel like you have a network that you're interested in that you could talk about. Oh, it's also interesting to talk about a network that is all isolates. Pick a month that might be interesting. What month might be interesting? Perhaps a month in which there's a really hot, contentious debate on the floor of the House in which people are referring to each other, arguing back and forth. You might want to make that choice if you're really interested in looking at structure. This is just a really quick sample of the possibilities. And I wish you lots of luck in getting your own work done. Accomplishing the two tasks of understanding networks a little better, understanding politics and how networks work in politics a little bit better too.